And we are live, you guys. Welcome to our Procreate Play. I'm going to try it out. Play group chat. Because, it's like gotten really long to say live drawing session plus the Q&A plus my tips plus our chat. So you guys, I am so excited to be here. So we're going to call it the playground chat. Does that sound good? All right, so I'm looking at the comments. Hey, you guys, you're all here. This is so cool. All right. Oh, Yasmin says, are you ready to play? This is a Q&A session, but we get to play. Yes, we do. And actually oops, my glasses are fogging up. That's one of the reasons that I thought that we would maybe change the name, because after last week's kickoff, I realized that this is a really good opportunity to show you guys some more kind of fun things. So we'll kind of do a little basics thing, and then in the play date, we'll keep it really focused on what we're doing. So we'll play, and then I'll answer questions, and then it'd be cool, right? But for this first part, I just wanted to say hi to you guys. Looks like Kathy's here, Deanne, Rosin, Zana's here, Patricia. Okay, I'm going through the comments. Linda, okay, you guys, there's a lot of you. Joanna, Denise. Oh, and Kathy's at the airport, just getting back from a cruise. So she says she's just going to catch up on week 1. Some of you may just be coming in for the first time this week because last week you had some stuff going on, and that's totally cool. Okay, just a quick check though. You guys can all hear me, see me, everything, right? We're all good there. Let's see. Oh, well, Linda's wondering if she's the only one here. No, it looks like we've got quite a few people, so that's awesome. All right, and Denise is gonna have a wine and a meatball sandwich. Okay, so I'm gonna eat after this, so we're gonna play first, but you guys feel free, drink, eat, watch. If you have who has their iPads right here with them right now? Anyone? You don't have to, but it's kind of fun, and we all tend to do it. So let's see. I was so surprised. Oh, good. It's good. I was so surprised last week in the group how you guys were just coming in and you were watching, doing stuff, and you were figuring things out, and you were kind of as we were going, you kind of following along, or you watched this afterwards, and you were playing along with the quotes and things, and that was just so cool for me to see, because all of a sudden there's in the Facebook group, it's I'm actually seeing what you're doing, and that's been awesome. And you guys have been showing up and encouraging each other and inspiring each other, and I cannot tell you how happy that makes my heart to see. So I'm very glad to see the start that this group has together, and it's I don't know if you've noticed it, but you're all starting off at the same spot, and we're all kind of working through it together, so it works really well. So Tiffany's making dinner while she watches. Awesome. My husband's making dinner for me right now, so sometimes he moderates, but he's doing that right now. Okay, so there is a couple things I wanted to just kind of tell you. Again, I'm going to check my notes here. Oh yeah, so this week the modules that I released yesterday is layers, color, and actions. And there is a lot to kind of unpack in those different ones. And I know that, I kind of caught on to it at the end of last week, but layers was actually a lot of kind of like just jumping in and not kind of really showing you how layers worked was kind of a wall for some of you that you kind of had to climb over, because you didn't really quite understand how it worked, but yet we were kind of using them because it's just, that big old piece of it. And then some of you didn't have all the lessons with the quick start guide. So anytime there's something that you feel like you're missing, you can also, feel free to chat or ask questions. We love that. But then also you can go check that, the book that I gave you guys. So I don't know if you guys have all gotten that, the playbook, but it actually has a lot of information in there. So in fact, in the beginning of the course, I was really just going, I had it open, I had Procreate open, I had this, and I kept going through kind of checking all my sources and just making sure that I was giving you guys all the information. So that book is really supposed to be going with this course, from the start. So yeah, it works really well. All right. Okay, so you guys are all ready to play, right? So anyways, we have the modules. So layers is going to be hugely helpful for you guys. Color is just fun, it's pure fun, right? And then the actual, and then actions is very helpful. There are a lot of things in actions, and that's kind of where we're going to park tonight a little bit when we're doing our live drawing part. So we're going to kind of do show you some things there with the drawing guides, which I think will be really fun. And then this course being set up so that like my course promised to you was that you would be able to design something in Procreate and then you'd be able to, create with it in Cricut. And one of the very, very basic things that you can do is you can create cut shapes in Procreate that may be a shape that you don't have that you can't find, because Cricut design space is fairly limited in the size of the different shapes that they include. Like if you have Cricut Access, there's like some more included beyond like the circle and all that stuff. But but with Procreate, there's no reason for you not to have any shape that you want, right? We can just make them. So we're gonna actually go through and just show you how like just that really quick how to draw a shape in Procreate, and then what it looks like when you cut it. So I actually had some fun this week, and I worked with some foam, like craft foam, and created stamps. So I'm actually gonna show you guys kind of how you draw these shapes, and then I will walk you through I'm just gonna kind of talk you through the actually making the project. And then over in the course platform, I'm actually going to, I've started it now, but I have another lesson. It's going to be kind of like a little bonus tutorial. There isn't a video with it because the video part I'm just going to demo tonight, like the Procreate part of it. And then over in the course platform, I have like a cheat sheet, like kind of, and I walk you through with photos, kind of what to do to make these. Because not only did I actually do the stamps, but then I went ahead and did this. Look at how cute that is. So I thought that was pretty fun. I did a couple other examples too, but I'll show you guys again in a minute. So this idea of taking a shape that you've made and cutting it. So I cut it out of foam, but you can also go ahead and cut it out of faux leather. You can cut it out of paper. You can cut it out of all kinds of different things. So there's just a bunch of things that you can do, and rather than try to get everything into this course, I had to pick and choose, but I wanted to still have you guys know, what's like if you have something you want to do, I want you to know how to do it, because you can pretty much do anything. It's pretty cool. All right, so okay, and then Jenny says, why does her iPad tell her that the Apple Pencil isn't connected? Okay, so that's another thing that I noticed in the group, and a lot of people were kind of asking about this week, was just kind of like, what happens when the Apple Pencil doesn't make marks, or if it disconnects, or how do you, like, if you're trying to draw and nothing's happening, like, how do you check to see, if it's the pencil or not connecting? And so what I did is I created a kind of a cheat sheet, and it's in the module with accessories in the course platform. So there's the iPad accessories, and I talk about different accessories. So at the bottom of that now, there's a link to like one of those big buttons that says I think it says something about troubleshooting or your Apple Pencil. So it's like 10 things that I go through, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, when I'm trying to figure out if it's, if there's kind of like a, I don't know, misconnect is kind of the word. Because it's easily solved usually within the first 3 to 4 things. And sometimes it's user error, like I didn't know I was on white or my opacity was down. But it's something that that can happen pretty frequently. So it's actually it happens a lot. So I went ahead and made a checklist, or not a checklist, but a cheat sheet for you guys to go through. So you guys can go find that over on the course platform. Okay. So anyways, there's that, and then I also added that master brush list as well. So we kind of talked about that in the group as well. So anyhow, kind of covered a few things there. We've got some more people popping in. All right. Mama Seed said the stamps remind her of potatoes, and yeah, it's like that. It is that very deep, like basic shape that you can do. And then, stamp it on fabric, stamp it on paper or wrapping paper or whatever. It's pretty fun. So, all right. So, let's see. All right. So the boho brush set, I'm just going to come and then I'm going to like put my blinders on and pay attention to the chat. The boho brush set is actually a separate product that I have. So it's fun, and it's like a brush bundle. It's got like 79 different brushes. And every once in a while for a summit, I'll give like a sampler set away. And it's got like, I don't know, 10 or 12 of the brushes, not all 79. And then it also comes with some different videos and things too. So it's fun. You guys can check that out. It's, I could put a deal for it in the course platform. Get you guys a coupon if you don't have it yet. All right. So Jackie says it's always user error. Until you don't know any better, there's going to be a lot of user error. I mean, that's just the beginning, right? Like, I'm sure like so many of you will watch the layers modules this week and say, oh, that's how they work, because it's actually explained then, right? So until you actually know and have the information, a lot of it is just trying to figure it, trying to figure out on your own, or else, trial and error, just playing around, trying to see and check things out. And, oh, that works and that doesn't work. So that's why I'm really glad that I was able to put this course, the book together and then the course together, because I think it's going to help you guys. It's going to give you guys like kind of a leapfrog. So, rather than having to figure it all out, you're going to kind of leapfrog to like, you can find the different things and answers, hopefully. So yes, light layers this week. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go and show you guys kind of how to do these simple shapes, and then over my iPad, and then we're going to go through and just kind of talk through. Oh, first I was going to, you know what? I'm going to tell you guys, want to show really quick. So I have some drawing hacks, and I love to tell people about these drawing hacks, because these are the drawing hacks that people are like, that I always just like think about when people are like, oh, I can't draw. I don't know how to draw. This is not something that like is something I know how to do. I feel really uncomfortable, with the drawing app when I can't draw a stick figure, or I can't draw a straight line. And I get that. I totally get that. Drawing is something that's really learned, and it takes a lot of practice and stuff like that. And honestly, it's not super easy to everyone. In fact, I found out this week, I don't know if you guys have ever heard, I think it's called aphantasia. That's what it is. My husband has a form of this thing called aphantasia, where he cannot really picture things in his head unless he kind of goes and finds a memory of it. So for example, so he was saying, hey, can you picture an apple in your head? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, now can you make it pink? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, can you turn it around? Yeah. Can you take a bite out of it? So there's just these different things that I could just visually do in my head that he cannot. And that just kind of rocked my world. So I talked to a few other people, and people have different levels of that. So he is amazing at like sounds. Like I can hear something, it goes in and out one ear, right? It's just not me. I can't learn that way. If you talk to me, I'm just going to kind of stare at you and try to kind of, picture what you're saying in my head. So it's a different learning style, and I knew that there were learning styles, but I didn't really necessarily realize that our brains work so differently. So I kind of want to apologize. Like, Lois, you had said that you didn't know how to draw, or you couldn't draw things. You couldn't like just make up stuff. And I just thought you meant that you didn't know how to draw, not that you couldn't necessarily picture it in your head. So it really is a different way of learning. So yes. All right. So anyways, I have one of my hacks that I have is drawing books. Now, some of you guys have had the Ed Emberley thing when like you were kids and you do the thumbprint, right? Like these are drawing books, and then you would like go and draw off of the thing, and then that was like totally like how you did it, and it was fun. I did those too. I liked them. I thought they were fun. But as an adult, drawing books are still totally a thing, because drawing books will sit there and they will take you step by step, like, here, make I can't do it. Make a circle, then make another thing, and then do another thing. So it's step by step, but it walks you through kind of what to do. And so it kind of gets you used to looking for lines, which I think is cool. Like the little bunny here, So I have this week, I don't know if you guys noticed, but over in the course platform under week 1, I actually went through and kind of shared with you some of my favorite drawing books. So this one I love. Yep. And so this is another one where this one is more, I wouldn't say it's super basic. It has some of the step-by-steps. But I love that it's just such a pretty book. It really is. And then I got this one, so I haven't really glanced at it today, but I just got this today, but it's another one where it just kind of, walks you through a little bit kind of the lines in this process of drawing. And the cool thing about Procreate is, and I've done this with my mom, is you can take a picture of the page pull it into Procreate, and then even just trace over it. So you're not even just like trying to look and draw the line, you can actually legit trace. So tracing is a huge, awesome, like amazing hack. So I know that with me, when I was first kind of using Procreate and stuff, I was trying to draw these, this first sticker sheet that I did. And I was trying to draw art materials. And I got to the point where I wanted to do glue. And glue bottles, I mean, this isn't one of them, but the Elmer's glue had that kind of like shaped sides, and then it had the kind of shaped top, you know? And I was trying to kind of picture it. I couldn't picture it. So I went and got it, and I was looking at it, and I was trying to get the lines just right. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I can just take a photo of it, pop it into Procreate, and trace it. And so that was like mind-blowing to me. And it took me like 2 seconds versus like the frustration it would have been of trying to like erase and draw and erase and draw. And, you know, I was new to Procreate pretty much at the time. So I didn't realize that I could do that. And so that alone is like a huge, huge, huge thing, because we can learn by doing then, right? We look and we see. And so in this next week's lessons, I actually have there's a lesson called How to Trace Photos, and I forget which module it's, I mean, it's in the layers module, but I forget which, or actions module. But it's such a basic skill for me as an artist now, because it's just so much easier for me to just go ahead and trace and see the lines and the shapes than it is to look and try to translate to my sheet. So yeah, easier. I like it. And then I show you guys some other like ways or places to go to find photos like that you can use, like that are copyright free, and then pull them into Procreate. So that's in the modules for this week. And then we're also going to touch on that then in the Procreate Playdate on Thursday when we go ahead and do our portrait stickers. So I think that you guys are going to really just love this. It's going to blow your mind. So yeah, so it's all different brains, different things. That kind of just, you know, finding ways that work for you. But again, even the people that like, I mean, I've had how many drawing classes in my life, and because I really love drawing. And I still I don't know what it is, but right now I just don't have the time to sit there and figure it all out. Like, oh, it's this perpendicular to this and this angle. I don't even want to do it. I'd rather take a photo. Okay, so that is a big one, is the tracing, the coloring books. You guys can go ahead and you can find those at the library, or not the coloring books, the drawing books. You can find them at the library. I mean, the kid ones are really good. I just happen to like really fall in love with these ones for adults. They're kind of like this cool Danish style, illustration style too. And then again tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to go into some of the quick shape and symmetry on the iPad. So I will go ahead and post these online. And I have them all. I don't know if I added this one yet, but I have them all linked on my Amazon page, like Amazon shop. I have actually like a art books I like section. So, all right, you guys ready? Yeah, I have a whole bunch of them. I'll show you guys at the end maybe. Okay, so ready? All right, let's go ahead. Yeah, Amazon shop. And I'm going to come over here. I have to like move all my stuff because I've got like a whole bunch of stuff sitting here. All right, let's do this. Got stuff all over the floor here. All right, so I think you guys can see me. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of walk you through a little bit about making like simple shapes. So what I was doing this week is I was just kind of working with some different designs that I already had, but I was also working with the symmetry tool, which is new to you this week. So if this is not something you've gotten to yet, and this is like, woo, crazy, it's all explained in the lessons, but I mean, I'll walk you through it here too. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab one of my square canvases, and I think I'm just gonna grab any color I think you can see. Let's just grab, can you guys see that pretty well? I think so. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna use, because we're gonna be cutting this again, I'm gonna use that sticker background brush because I like that, how streamlined that is. And then I'm gonna come up to the wrench tool, which is up in the upper left, and I'm going to go to Canvas. And then on the canvas, I'm going to go and it says Drawing Guide. So I'm going to toggle that on, and now it says Edit Drawing Guide. So I will grab that, and that opens up, you know, a new page here. And down at the bottom, we have different things that we can use. We can use 2D, isometric, which is, I'll make these bigger so you guys can see it, is the, you know, diagonals. Perspective, which basically lets us create a perspective, like a point. Well, look at this, it lets us create a point, and then the lines, perspective lines, all kind of go, and we can even do 2 points. So I explain this a lot better in the modules. This is like really quick. But the one that we're going to go for today is symmetry. Now symmetry right here is amazing, like mind blown, especially when you combine symmetry with the quick shape. So I've got it on symmetry. You can go ahead under options and choose vertical or horizontal or radial, which is what we're going to be using next week with our Procreate Playdate. We're doing those mandalas. But for this week, we're just going to do the vertical. So I'm going to say done up here in the corner. And now this is really fun. So if you go to layers, you'll see where it says assisted. That means that the drawing guide is on for this layer. If I grab another layer, that drawing guide is not on unless I tap the layer and then tap draw and assist. So you have to kind of turn it on and off, and you can do that, which is really helpful. So I'm going to be on layer 1, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw a butterfly. Nope, I kept quick shape on. So you can see like, oh, you know, right away there's kind of the shape of a butterfly. Now, if I couldn't draw a butterfly like that myself, I could go ahead and kind of do something like this, where I'm using quick shape again. So I'm keeping my tip down, and it's making the lines kind of more fluid than they would have been. I can go ahead like this, and then like this, like that. And now what I can do is I can come and color drop into it, and then it'll fill both sides. So that is like right there is pretty cool. So pretty simple. And then the fun thing is that I can turn draw and assist off. I can come up here to my arrow, and then I can just kind of start to, if we say, this is getting a little bit ahead, but if we say warp, we can go ahead and start manipulating this just a wee bit so that it doesn't look so perfectly perfect. Because I like to use like the symmetry to get kind of a start on something, but then I don't necessarily want to keep it perfectly symmetrical all the time, because symmetry is it's kind of boring. So this kind of gives us a little bit more of a interest level because we've tweaked it just a little bit. So kind of taking it a little bit further. So like for a heart, let's just go grab this again. I'm going to unclick that layer. So for a heart, I'm going to turn draw and assist on. I can go ahead and use quick shape again, and then color drop into it. And I know some of you guys were having problems with color drop this last week. And again, a lot of times when you do that, and if it doesn't fill up to the edges, it's because this threshold is not high enough, or it's too high if it floods it. So what you do to adjust that threshold again is you turn it down to the left with the tip still down, and you have to come up, and then oftentimes you have to undo so that you can recolor drop again, and then it kind of has adjusted. It almost needs you to back out of it so you can come back into it. So kind of quirky there. But again, this is where I'm saying you have a basic shape. It's looking really good, but now let's go and grab that arrow and then the warp again, and let's just kind of make it a little bit, you know, more interesting. Like so. And now all of a sudden you have like a slightly different shape. So that is just kind of a basic shape. You can go ahead and let's see. We can do something like, oh, and see I didn't have draw and assist on. So I'm going to tap the layer and say draw and assist. And actually let's go back to our drawing guide, and I'll say edit drawing guide, and I'm going to come to the options here, and this time we're going to turn on the, let's do rate or quadrants. Okay, just quadrant. And we'll say done. And now what I can do is, you can see there's 4 sections. I can do that. And when I color drop into one of them, it color drops into all of them. To get this little section here would be kind of a little difficult. So what I would probably do is go to turn the drawing assist off and then just color it in. But I could turn it on again and add. And again, I'm putting my tip down to get those smooth lines, and then just kind of continuing to do the color drop. And then I can come back here, and it works with the eraser too. So if I wanted to, you know, add some extra, oh, I don't know what that looked like. But you can kind of add some extra stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I've done that, like I've done all kinds of different flower shapes, and I think it's just really fun to do the flowers. I really like flowers. So anyways, there's just, let's see, let's go here and turn the drawing assist off. And then I'm gonna make my brush super big, and then I can just go ahead and clean out that center a little bit. Now when you're actually going and creating the foam shapes, so I'm gonna take you out to my shapes that I drew. So I have them all together on one canvas here. And there you can see how I kind of got a little like loose with the butterfly. Here's, you know, an example of one of those flowers. This bee is actually part of a brush set I did a long time ago called the Easter set, which I thought you guys might like as a fun bonus. It has a bee. Actually, let's go ahead and open up a new one here. But this is a way that you can use kind of like, you know, stamps and kind of make them kind of fit. So already I've got, say, this beehive one. So I've got the beehive, and that is probably not going to cut super well as a foam stamp. And so what I would want to do now is come in here and kind of add, I'd go to my background brush, and I would kind of want to fill it in so that it's like thicker lines and can be cut more easily. So there's a little bit, like, as far as the, you know, again, we've talked before, you have to think about the project that you're doing, because you want to think about, like, if I was to do this in paper, I could probably get away with some pretty thin lines. If I was to try to do it in leather, maybe not so fine. For some of the, you know, depending on the size of the stamp, I would be fine with some of these smaller lines. But for other stamps, you know, if they were this size, maybe not. So if we go to that Easter set that I just kind of dangled in front of you guys, if you go here, you can see that this particular, for me to take this stamp that I used and turn it into, if I can find it, I can't. For me to turn that into a foam stamp, oh, here it is. I had to go ahead and thicken these lines up. And then I also thickened up the antenna just a wee bit. So some of this is trial error. You're going to do it and you're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I need to go back and change it. But I mean, it really is as simple as, you know, this. Just you draw them, you fill them, and then you go ahead and you come down to background color and you uncheck it, and you go to the wrench and share, and you say PNG, you export it, and then you pull it into Cricut Design Space. All right, so let's see what you guys think of that. All right, so what do you guys think of that so far? I mean, that was really, really quick. All right, so Roseanne says color drop isn't really working for her very well. So that is definitely something that you have to kind of, I mean, we have the color module now. It's available in the class. Oh, Emily's here. Hi, honey. So we have the module available in the course platform on color, and that's the module where I go through kind of how to adjust that threshold more in depth and just kind of show you guys kind of what's happening and kind of some very fun, cool things that you can do with color drop, because I mean, it can get really fun. So there's that. All right. And then of course I'll be taking like questions during the week as well in the Facebook group. Or if you want to email me. But I will say that I think that you guys are doing really well. I mean, this is a lot of information. We're drinking from the fire hose and throwing these things at you. And I know some of you are taking it a little slower than others. And hey, that is awesome. Some of you are just like soaking it up and getting wet and running with it. So that's really cool too. I do have some questions that I'm going to kind of answer. All right. So let's see. Looks like you guys, so Emily said the drawing guides are a game changer. Yeah, there is so much to unpack in the drawing guides. And again, you guys are going to see that next week when we do the, let me see, got one here. When we do the mandalas, I mean, this is all just stamps and color fill. So, I mean, it gets a really cool effect. I've done little cards too. So yeah, you guys are going to have fun with it. But again, it kind of was looking at kind of the schedule and I was thinking that, oh, did I make my earrings? No, I did not make my earrings. But if you watch the Cricut crafting adventure in April, you're going to see how to cut clay with your Cricut machine. We have somebody that's doing that, which is going to be pretty awesome. Okay. So yeah, there are some different like things to kind of check. So color drop doesn't work if your shape isn't closed up. It'll just kind of like sneak out if there's two lines that are not connecting, and it just floods the screen then. So again, there's some troubleshooting things to kind of do. So watching the modules is going to be super helpful. All right. Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some of the, oh, and then I was just going to say too, like, I'll move you over to the other screen here so I can show you. We'll just wrap up this part of the project. Okay, so what you do then, you know, we talked about kind of exporting it, but what I did is I used these foam sheets, and I have them linked on Amazon. I have like a little thing for this, but I'm also, oops, I also have a tutorial that's coming for you guys on how to do this. So yeah, the foam sheets, and then I also got the bags there, and then I'm using a light grip mat because the foam has like this paper backing that wants to stick to the dark or the green ones too much, and so I kind of like using the light blue, but then you really have to tape it down as well. But it's sticky backed foam, and so what happens then is it's like a sticker, and you just pull it off. So here's the one of those little ones that we just made. So you pull it off and then it's sticky. And then I felt like such a genius, you guys, when I figured this out. So you can go ahead and order blocks off Amazon. That's totally cool. You can go ahead and just use old acrylic blocks and just, you know, peel them off later. That doesn't work super well. You can go ahead and use just like pieces of, you know, scrap wood, or I don't know what I did with it. Or else something else that I did is I went to the thrift store and I found like some old stamps, because, you know, everybody has a ton of stamps and they're getting rid of them. So I found a bunch of old stamps at the stamp store and then just used the ones that were like pre-done and peeled off the stuff and then stick mine on top. So that was like kind of a fun way to repurpose it. But yeah, I mean, how cool is that, right? And then I just went ahead and I got this set of multi-surface paints, but if you have like the old Martha Stewart ones, those were by Plaid, and those are multi-surface too, so this is Plaid as well. But I found these because they're like fun colors and I wanted to try them. But then if you get the multi-surface acrylics, what's cool about that is they actually will go on fabric, they'll go on wood, they'll go on glass, they'll go on metal, whatever. They take different curing times for different things, but it's pretty cool. All right, and then something I haven't tried yet, but you can also, did you know that you can get sublimation acrylic paint and you can get sublimation stamps, stamp pads at Hobby Lobby now or online? So I meant to try that for you guys too, but I think that'd be fun. And then, so I just stamped them, and I think I got it wet first so I could just kind of brush on some background paint. And then I applied paint to the stamp with a foam brush. And then I went ahead and used a Sharpie. But you can use like a fabric marker or something too if you want. But I found that it was kind of fun not only to have like the big shapes, you know, But I also had like this where it's just like a little bit of shape, or let's see, there's another one where just these little like dots here. I mean, super simple, but that was just kind of a fun little extra thing to have. So, yeah. So again, kind of like a little bonus project just to make sure that you guys have like the information on how to go ahead and make those shapes. Let's see. All right, so lots of fun more things that I'm gonna like dangle in front of you guys. Yeah, it looks like the glossy cardstock is already like making the rounds now, which is really super fun. So that was a great find. And then some of you guys asked about, do you need the laminate for this week's? You do not need the laminate for the Procreate Playdate this week, but the laminate is like really super fun. Like the pack that I recommend has like 6 different things and are like patterns. And so it's like there's a glitter, there's a flowers, there's like a snowflake. And then there's this one that's kind of like more chunky. And not only are we going to like, so we can use them this week and I'll demo it, but we're also going to be using it next week for the mandalas. And so if you guys are on the fence about it and you don't think you'll use it, we're actually going to have it in 2 different projects. So do you need it? No, you don't need it, but it's one of those fun things. So, and if you have sticker paper, Roseanne emailed me and asked if she could use the Avery sticker paper. If you have a sticker paper that you already have, then that's pretty cool. All right, so yes, Julie, stamps are expensive. And then Patricia, yes, you can totally like make some. The whole bubble wrap look or the just kind of like cross lines are super cool. And it's like, why can't you do that, right? I mean, you can totally do that. So that's really cool. All right. So anyways, that is just a kind of like a bit there. So let's maybe go ahead and we're going to move into a Q&A. And so with the Q&A, it's going to be kind of easier to show you guys some of this stuff. So I'm going to pull you over to the other camera again. All right, my mess. All right, so yeah, this is just a little preview of kind of I think this is really fun. I love these. And then I use them on here too. So it's kind of fun. Not even kind of. I love it. I love it so much. All right. So Q&A. This is the Q&A. So if you guys, I'm going to go through the questions that we got over on the our Facebook playground. I have each week a Q&A post and I say, hey, if you have questions, leave them here. And some of them I can just quickly answer right there. But some of them I'm like, yeah, that'd be a really good thing just to kind of double check that you guys, kind of know what to do with this. So I'm just going to kind of explain a few things here. So for instance, a couple people were saying that they were having trouble kind of adjusting their brush size. And I'm just going to grab a sticker brush again. And actually, I'm just going to swipe left on my layer and clear this. So what you may have seen me doing is I'd be drawing or something, and then I'd come up here. And what I'm doing is I'm adjusting the brush size up here in this slider. Now my slider is here on the left, but your slider might be over here. And so that could be confusing because you can actually move the slider in the preferences. So you can say where you want your, where you want it, light, left, or right. So that's a thing. So I have mine up here and the top part of it, the top slider is the brush size. Now, I think it was Bud that said that the brush, even at the very biggest, wasn't big enough for him. And so what you can do is you can come into your brush library, you can swipe left and duplicate the brush. So I swiped left on it and it says share, duplicate, or delete. Duplicate the brush. And then, because you've got yours protected there now because you have a copy of it, with that copy you can tap it and that opens up the Brush Studio. And I know this Brush Studio, you guys, accidentally tap and come into it and you're like, I don't even know where to start with it. This is so much fun, but it's more advanced than we're really going to talk about. But I did want to show you that under Properties, if you come down to Properties, you can go to Brush Behavior and you can up the size of that brush significantly usually. So if the brush that I give you or a brush that you found here in Procreate, one of the native brushes, doesn't quite, isn't quite the size you wanted, then you can go ahead and adjust that. Another thing that people are kind of wondering about is this, like you're trying to write, and we'll talk about this again later too, I guess, but with some brushes, if you're trying to write with them, there's a lag. And that lag is something that you can usually fix if you go to stabilization and you increase the amount of streamline, lower the streamline. So that streamline is sometimes so high up that it's kind of, it really just kind of almost drags. So your pencil is like up here and the mark, it's over here. And that can get really frustrating when you're trying to write. And so I found that that's much more common in brushes like, the calligraphy or lettering brushes. I think there's a calligraphy section. Yeah. And that's because they're trying to get it really smooth, It's probably not going to do it now. I can't find it. But so I know that people run into that every once in a while, and that was a frustration that I had in the beginning. So that is just kind of how you can kind of fix that. But again, brush slider, this is like the basic way to adjust it up here. Is this slider. All right, let's see. Again, the problem with the brush, like the Apple Pencil, when it's not working, there's a few different things you can do. And I have that cheat sheet for you now under resources. Under the first, I think it's module 2, the iPad accessories. At the bottom of that is my checklist, or basically a cheat sheet of things to go through to check. And that's including like making sure it's white, making sure that, so you can kind of pop it on here and it'll say battery life pop up, and then that's kind of almost reconnects it. So it's like a lot of little things, like this can come unscrewed. So just little things to check. And then as we go, I kind of show you how to go in and check. So you can go and check your Bluetooth and make sure that the Bluetooth is, turn that on and off. You can go into settings and actually go to the Bluetooth section and see that your Apple Pencil is connected. So I go through all those things in that checklist. All right. So that was like one of the questions that I had. Let's see. Another thing I had was, a question was, so a lot of people are having trouble with layers. Now layers again, that is something that I think the next module that I released this week. And so definitely watch that, because that's going to solve a lot of the problems. Just kind of like, people were stamping on one layer. All right, so let's just flood this. Okay. And then you come and grab another layer, and they were going and grabbing one of those mindset stamps. And maybe the layer that they were on was underneath another layer. And so it looks like it's not working, right? But the problem is that there was a layer on top of it that was obscuring it. It's like you can't see this book under this book. You have to kind of move it over on top. So that's just, one of those things that you guys, you'll become more familiar with. But it's not like, again, it's part of this whole digital thing. So we really, I'm trying to make it fun and make light of it. But you really are learning tech, and tech can be hard, and tech can be quirky, and tech does not always react the same to everybody, or even to the same person on the same day. It can do weird things, right? So I'll try to do what I can to help you with that. All right. Somebody else had a question about, can you go ahead and change the size of your canvas once you've already worked on a canvas? So what they mean is, so I already have a canvas established. Okay, so this is my canvas, and I went to go ahead and export it, and it's really, really tiny, and I didn't realize it, or something else. You can go to Canvas, so wrench, Canvas, and then Canvas information. And that will tell you exactly what what size everything is of your canvas that you're working on. It will tell you what color profile it is, but it's kind of locked in at this point to some extent. You can go ahead and change it a little bit. Like I can go and change between so these are all RGBs. I can change the color profile a little bit. But for instance, once you've established the size of your canvas, if you come into Canvas info, it will tell you how many maximum layers you have. It will tell you how many you've used, what are available. every time you create a grouping of layers, it counts as another layer. So you may think you only have like 15 layers, but you have like 5 different groups. So then you've actually got like, 20 layers. Again, all of this is explained in the layers. But what you can do, so remember we were saying like the problem was that it was the wrong size. You can come to crop and resize here, and that will go ahead and give you some options for changing the size of your canvas, changing a whole bunch of different things that you can change here. The DPI. So the answer to, I forget who asked the question, but the answer was that yes, you can. All right. Oh, Jackie said show that again. I'm not really sure. I just saw your chat, so I'm not sure what to show. So maybe tell me and then I'll go back to it. So again, we're on canvas under the wrench. So actions panel, which is something again that's a module that you have this week. So to check the size of your canvas, you go to canvas information and it will tell you. And I have to say that some iPads that are older do have much more limited layers than other iPads. It also depends on the size. If you're working with a 10 by 10 canvas that's 300 DPI, it's going to take up a lot more, or it's going to give you a lot fewer layers than if you were working on a 3 by 3 canvas. So it's a lot about size. So some of you might be hitting limitations there, and the reason I bring that up is because you could be trying to add layers and it will not let you add any more layers. And you're like, what's going on? Why am I locked out? Why can't I add layers? And that is maybe one of the reasons why. So at that point, what you can do is you can go ahead and merge your layers. So you tap on the top one and say merge down. And that's just it's kind of like flattening. So somebody else had a question about flattening. They do have a flatten, but you only really see it when you touch the top where it's a new group. Then you'll see flatten as an option, and that will flatten everything in the group. Otherwise, you have the merge down option for each individual layer. So, all right. Okay, so the layers hiding, yes. So what I was saying is that if you have a layer, so this list of layers is in order of kind of how they're stacked. So right now, layer 3 is the top layer. Layer 2 is here, and then layer 1. So if this is layer 3, this is layer 2, and this is layer 1, anything that's written on layer 1, you can't see unless you take layer 1 and move it, or unless you get rid of the layers on top of it. So it's kind of funny because it's digital, but it's it helps to picture it, like physical. And then when it gets tricky, and kind of where we talked about this in the layers thing, is that you can go ahead and turn one of these layers transparent practically. And when you do that, it's almost like taking a piece of tracing paper or vellum over it, and then you'll have the layer above, but because it's now transparent, you can see what's beneath it. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, that's part of the whole tracing thing. So you guys are going to learn a lot about that. If you merge down, can you undo it? You can do the 2-finger tap, but no, as soon as you leave your canvas, it's a destructive action, which means that as soon as you leave your canvas, it's done, it's locked in, you can't come in and undo it. So that's why with Procreate, a lot of the times I will go ahead and create those duplicates or those extra things that I just kind of then uncheck. So it's like if I wanted to go ahead and play with this layer, I would first swipe left and duplicate it. And then the original I would uncheck so it's hidden. And then I would only work with that copy so that I can then go ahead and tweak it. But I still have my original protected. So at any point in time, so right now I can undo it. But if I went out and then came back in, there's no undo left anymore. It's like reset. So now I'm like, well, shoot, I'm like locked in here now. Oh, but wait, I have my extra. Does that make sense? All right. So flatten is a term where it puts things on one layer. So we're talking about all these digital layers, And it is the same in, it's very similar in Cricut Design Space, but in Cricut Design Space, you can go ahead and unflatten. So in Procreate, if you flatten it to one layer, then again, if you go out of the canvas, you can't undo it. So that's a thing. So let's see. So layers was a problem for a lot of you. So if you were struggling with layers last week, that is not just you. And then let's see. So that's going to help a lot. So you guys are going to get color stuff. Let's talk about color for a minute. A couple people were trying to print their printing cuts in the group, and they were having questions about the different color profiles. And what I mean by that is, and I did this little, I have a graphic. Are you guys impressed that I have a graphic that I did up? All right, please be impressed. So there are two different color profiles kind of options, like main options. So each one has other kind of sub options in the canvas. And I'll just kind of go to a canvas quickly. And so new canvas, we've got our new canvas thing, and we come to color profile, and you'll see that if you tap, there's RGB and there's CMYK. And for each of these, you're going to have different options. And the options that you have can vary according to what iPad you have. So some will have that P3, and some will have, it'll start with the RGB, will start with this 2.1, which is also very good. P3 is the Procreate's, it's their own default that builds off the Apple default, which has more colors to it. So that just looks a little like you just have more color choices, and really who needs a box of crayons that's like 900 colors big, but we'll all take it, right? So I like to use that P3 one. Now RGB is basically it's used a lot for digital stuff, whereas Emily's got to go. She's a mama. All right, so RGB is digital, so it's like screens, and it's so it's a lot of your social, if you're seeing social media pictures, if you're seeing photos online, if you're seeing anything, that those are often RGB. And then CMYK is considered more for printing. Now where that gets tricky is that it's really for professional printing. So if you're printing with your home printer, you can go ahead and use RGB, no problem. If you are sublimating, you can go ahead and use, most sublimation is better with RGB than it would be if it was than using CMYK. So a lot of times you'll hear people say, and I did this in the beginning too, that use CMYK if you're printing and RGB if it's digital. But personally, I prefer RGB for all of it. So that makes it easy for you, right? So let's go back to my cool graphic here. But you can see here, one interesting thing is that if you choose RGB for your canvas, you can see where this right here, this color disc is a lot brighter than the one that is CMYK. And so again, that's because this is more limited, and it's more because it's an industry standard for printers. But we don't like limits, right? Because we're like us, and we like to be able to play with bright colors and things like that. And so personally, I will take the RGB. And unfortunately, there are times where I've done something in CMYK, and then I didn't know the part about how you can kind of sometimes go in and change things on your crop size. So settings. All right, so you can actually change, that's right. Sorry. So you can actually change from RGB to CMYK. It's whatever your canvas was starting with is what you're kind of locked into at the point. So what you can do is you can go ahead and copy and paste and try to pull it into a new canvas that is, a different color profile, but that doesn't always work. So I would just stick with RGB. All right. But yeah, it is interesting to see the difference. And so this actually, if you look here, so this was done in RGB, and then I had copied it into a CMYK canvas, and you can see how, I don't know if you can see it, but this one is slightly more muted than this one. So it's just a less saturated to my, like, I don't know, it's not as vivid in my, is the easiest way for me to say it. Okay, so that is, and so Kathy said she went ahead and printed her first card today on glossy photo paper. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think that when you print on glossy or some kind of paper that has more of a surface, like a harder surface to it, then the color actually stays a little truer to form because it's not printing into the ink, or it's got that surface that kind of protects from soaking in, and so it just kind of looks good. But I will say that I've gotten really good results with matte sticker paper in the past. I just prefer the glossy because I feel like it is a little bit more vibrant. So if I can take glossy paper, if I can take glossy sticker paper, I will. So Roseanne said she can see it. Yep. And Sonia says it looks a little darker. Yeah. So yeah, that it is definitely something that, you can be kind of sensitive to and not realize. But I did, so going ahead and, knowing that difference, I guess, is something. But then also just kind of knowing that when you go ahead and print for your Procreate designs, here, I'm going to come back to my other camera. When you print your Procreate designs, choosing, like, even if your paper is not photo paper, choosing photo paper is usually a good option. Choosing best, if you want it to look really, sharp, is a good option. But again, being aware that sometimes if you print, so even if it's a white, like you think you've gotten this white, if you print on it and you look and your design is kind of like a tad gray or a tad, just looks a little darker than you expected, it could be that white that you're using isn't as white as you think. Or could be that it's a more absorbent paper and you used that, higher like the photo setting, and so it dumped more ink on it, which made it, should have made it brighter if it was on glossy, but because it's like an absorbent matte paper, it absorbed it up, and then all of a sudden you had like this super dark thing, right? So the paper itself can change the results. So if you print something out and you're like, oh my gosh, don't panic, right? Because it might be the settings or it might be the paper. So there's things you can fix. Most printers are actually pretty darn good nowadays. I think Anne, actually asked about what printer I use. And I have an inkjet printer. It's a Canon Pixma. That's the kind of brand it is the Canon, and then the line is the Pixma. But I actually have the Crafters printer because I wanted to try it and I thought it'd be cool. And I do like some different aspects of it, but I will say that you can get a Canon Pixma that's not the Crafters printer. You just look for a couple things. Look for, or some other printer too, but look for a rear tray, because that means that if you use a heavier paper, it doesn't have to flip it in like the ones with the main tray has to go in and flip it to print. And it's when it flips that thicker paper that it gets jammed. So you'll just have fewer paper jams. Not that you always will if you don't have that option, because sometimes, I went a long time with just my husband's work, our printer down in our office, the workforce one, the Epson or something, and it was totally fine for most of the time, but there was a lot of, times where it would try to grab it and it would grab a couple pieces and things would get kind of messed up, and I do not have that problem with the rear feed. Another thing that I like about the Canon one is that it has the 12 by 12 borderless printing, but it also will do the 11 by 17. And so I can do kind of larger things, which is kind of fun too. I've done maps that are larger, and it was fun to kind of have a size that I could do that was different than, just the 8.5 by 11. So there's that. So printing is going to be something that we're going to continue to be doing during the group or doing this. And so, be sure if you're having issues, just mention it, because there are, again, it's like that cheat sheet for the Apple Pencil. There are certain things that you can kind of just check to troubleshoot that with experience, I know to look for pretty much right away. So ask and I'll just kind of tell you. Let's see. We talked about the print setting. We talked about the brush. I'm looking at my cheat sheet list here. We talked about resizing. So again, the canvas information was under actions, and that is one of your modules this week. Color palettes, that is also in color drop and color, another thing that you guys kind of had problems with it because it's, not super easy. That is in the color module that you guys got this week. And then the layers. That's going to be so helpful for you. I can't even tell you how much you're going to it'll open your eyes. And then in all of those modules, I have tips and tricks. So it's not just like this is how it works, but this is how you can get it to work for you. So it's fun. I really loved being able to share all this stuff with you guys in both the videos and then my book as well. But in the videos, because it's just, I don't know, it's a lot of experience and a lot of time, and it's a lot of fun once you know how some of these things work. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. Are you? Let's see. So let's see. Mousy has, the Epson with the rear feed is pretty great. Jackie wants to know if I have a sublimation printer. I do. I have a Epson Eco Tank because I was just wanting to get in, and you can get one at Costco for like 200 some bucks or something, and I wanted to try it. And then I got inks. I got Cosmo inks, but there are other inks as well, but they're made specifically to go in the Epson. So you don't have to sit there with a syringe and feed it in, and you can just take out the Epson tank and pour in the sublimate, you can just pour in the sublimation. So it has to be a new printer because otherwise you have to do all this cleaning stuff like that. So again, it's it was a few $100 at Costco. The Eco Tank. There's lots of people that use those. And then just I haven't unboxed it yet, but I just got a Sawgrass at the end of the year. It was my quick end of the year thing. What could I possibly need? So I got a Sawgrass. Okay. So yes, let's see. Oh, good. You guys are liking it. Okay. So Kimberly I'm really glad you're learning. I'm glad that you guys aren't getting too frustrated. I hope that having us all kind of, everybody in the group on the same page is helpful for you guys. Because like you saw this week, odds are if you're having a question, somebody else is having a question too. So when you ask, it's just really helpful. Yes, and definitely take the time to go slowly. Take the time to make sure that it continues to feel like something playful. Maybe set a little bit of time every day if you can, or, with your coffee, or you just go sit there for 10 minutes and just play a little bit. If you've got that case, you can pack it along in your bag to take it to work and, do it at work. Or I have done it in my car. You push your seat all the way back and you got your iPad right there on the steering wheel, and you can sit there and draw while you're waiting for the kid to get done with karate. So different things that you can do. I will say that I've gotten so dependent on my iPad for taking notes and things like that I would show up at church meetings and everybody would have their notes, and I'd be pulling out my big old iPad, and it was just it was a little bit overkill, I think, in their mind, but you just get so used to using it. I just really like it. Okay, so Roseanne says frustration is part of the process. I'm glad you feel that way because it really is. Anything that's worth learning or that's takes more than that it takes little time to learn is going to be kind of frustrating at first because it's not just the information's not beamed into your head, right? There's no oh, it's there. You really do have to kind of sit there, and we all talked, we talked about our brains processing differently. You have to sit there and kind of work it through and process it for yourself. And that made me going and trying things and figuring things out. You guys would laugh, you would just laugh so hard if you saw me the first time I was trying to figure out that swipe thing. I was no. It was the worst thing ever. It was so bad. I'm no, why can't I do this? So, yeah. So Cecilia, she actually saw how to make a palette using a picture, which is so fun, right? Perfect for using those photographs. And then Linda wants to know if we're going to be learning how to bring fonts into Procreate. Yes, absolutely. Of course. Yeah. Because I love that. So the text, I think, is week 3. And so we're actually going to talk about that a little bit next week. But then, yeah, it's in the text module, which you'll have access to starting next week. So yeah, focus on, you guys are going to have a lot of fun with things this week. I think, last week was very introductory and just trying to get you into the flow and get used to things. And now this next week, we're kind of getting a little more technical, but at the same time, I think it's going to really help you process like how things are working. So yeah, I'm excited. And Paula says she's enjoying the entire course. Thank you, Paula. Me too. I get really excited when I see you guys posting in the group and stuff, because I don't know how many times I can say so excited, so thrilled, so happy, like hooray, but it's just like, and then I have to like go back and like edit what I say before I push send, because I'll use an exclamation mark after every single sentence. I'm like, okay, Jen, you can't, like, it's a little too much exclamation mark, but I'm seriously like, so like it really does make my heart just like, oh my gosh, they're playing, they're doing it, they're like learning this, they're seeing the possibilities, they're gonna like be able to do what's in their head. And that's what I want to do for you guys. So I'm so glad you're here and doing this with me. All right, so yes, you'll learn how to get fonts in. Jackie said she's over her pity party. You know what? We are all there, honey. Okay, let's see. Joyce didn't see the question. All right. So let's see. So yes, struggling to turn the drawing guide on and off. All right, so that is in the settings, or you can go in and just toggle it. So you can go and, it's a toggle on and toggle off thing in that sidebar for the whole canvas. Or you can go and tap the layer, and then it brings up that little side thing, and it says Drawing Assist, and you tap that, and that turns it on or off for the layer. So Drawing Assist or Drawing Guide can be set in the panel, the Actions panel, and Drawing Assist, which just defaults to whatever your guide's set at, can be turned on and off per layer. So yeah, a lot of fun. So you guys, yeah, go ahead and make some shapes, play with that a little bit, and then yeah, we're not going to actually be able to have the time to go through and say exactly, I can't do a video for you guys on how to do the stamps, but I wanted to definitely kind of explain that, and then I wanted to give you like this little bonus lesson. So that is going to be in the, that is going to be under the Cricut or the project tutorials. It's going to be like a little lesson, like a little bonus lesson, and say something about foam stamps. So I'm going to finish that up tomorrow and have that ready for you guys in there before the play date on Thursday, which is going to be fun. You guys, we are going to do the coolest things. Like, we're going to do portrait stickers, and I actually have, there's a couple different ways that we're going to do it. We can do either like the completely faceless, or I'm going to show you guys kind of how to do a line drawing, or how to do kind of a, a little bit of features, kind of more of a modern illustration look. And if you guys have noticed, if you go to Etsy, like these things are selling like hotcakes, like custom stickers and things, and portrait stickers, like pet stickers. Like it's kind of crazy. And then you're gonna like learn how to do it. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, seriously? That's so easy. So you can see my penny one there from a photo. And then I'm actually, because, kind of building on what we did today with the shapes, I created a custom shape in Procreate of the Australia, because, you can bet the Cricut Access does not have an Australia shape. So I made it the shape just like I showed you today, brought it into Cricut Design Space, and then sliced my drawing that I brought in from the shape. You can do it in Procreate too, but I'm going to show you guys kind of how it works in Cricut Design Space, because it's a little easier. All right, so yeah, a bunch of different things that you can do. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and yeah, please continue to play. I have a ton of bonuses. I have some more kind of ideas for that as well. Keep posting in the group, and then that mindset piece of it. I know, like, not all of us like to read, but I did, put a lot of time into the mindset training for this week, just writing down a bunch of stuff that like are maybe things that you might be thinking like, I can't do this. I'm already behind. I'm so overwhelmed. So when you feel those things, you can go and kind of check that and just kind of see what I've written there. Because odds are, if you're feeling it, I felt it. And I want to make sure that you hear somebody else's voice saying you can do it. You can. This is something you can do. It doesn't matter that you think you can't. Just trust the process and trust that you can. So yeah, it's going to be cool. Yeah, the family portrait stickers. Can you imagine how cool? Like a friend of mine actually just asked me to kind of, her kids are nowhere close to getting married yet, but she's like, when they do get married, is this something you could help with? And so I kind of had that in my mind because I'm like, well, yeah, you know. But wouldn't it be fun to have, invitations with that kind of a picture like that of the bride and groom? I think I've seen those some places. Or, having the stickers there is kind of a fun little thing. Kind of even just stickers of the bride and groom would be fun. My son's graduation, I did stickers for that of him. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things, but knowing how to do the designs themselves and customize things is like seriously gonna and like you said, it's like Linda said, it's a game changer. Like there are so many things that you can do once you know these things. All right, so Kathy says, when do you sleep? Later tonight, maybe. Yeah, so I actually do have a lot of summits that I'm starting to kind of need to get the projects done for. And so they are kind of overlapping in my brain as I kind of thinking things through. Like I'm actually working on Sublimation Camp right now. So that is a summit that's going to be happening in May after Cricut Adventure, which is my summit. So with Cricut Adventure, I've got some fun things that are kind of building on some of the things in this course as well, or using some of these things. But for Sublimation Camp, they've asked me to talk about sublimation, like creating templates in Procreate, and then taking a design and being able to use that one design for different things. So that'll be fun. And then for another summit, I'm actually going to just do a kind of what can you make with Procreate. So, if you like just a kind of a rundown of stickers. And so what I kind of told you guys with the cut files and the print files. So kind of showing just different examples of things is going to be fun too. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many different places you can go with this. All right. Let's see. Oh, and so Penny says, oh, and Bonnie's liking the mindset thing. Thank you so much for saying that. Cause I don't, I feel like it's a great part of it. But first course. Okay, so Penny says, will you go over the specific brush that you use when doing the portrait stickers? Yes, actually, I'm going to go through. I have and I didn't realize it was a process, but I have a very specific process that I choose to follow when I'm doing something like this, like when I'm kind of tracing something and adding color. And there are some brushes that I go back to over and over again that work really well with these stickers, portrait stickers. So I'm going to actually kind of give you guys or tell you what the brushes are, but I'm also going to give you this basic process. So like where you start with the image, you do the sketch, and this is how the sketch works, how you add the color, how you go ahead and I have they call it the inking step, where you've got your sketch, which is kind of looser, then you do the colors, and then you get to the next, like one of these last like steps, and it's inking. So basically you go over with a finer, like an ink brush, you kind of go over your sketch to just to kind of clean things up. And then you can do that. And if you wanted more of a linear, smooth quality, there's a different brush for that. So yeah, I'll definitely get into that a little bit more, and I'll probably have a handout for that as well that I'm going to make up for you guys. Because I didn't really realize I had a process until I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I always do this. So I'll teach it to you. So yeah, all right. I think you guys have any other questions? Let's see, we're a little bit over the hour. But yeah, I worked on this a long time. I was talking to someone else too. I'm like, it's been 5 years that I've been sitting here saying, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And have you guys seen how many like people are starting to use Procreate in their crafting now in like different events? So it's really cool for me to see this because it's like been so obvious to me that this is just such a great combination. So I'm really glad that I was able to get the book out and now this course as well. Like, it's just obsessive. There's so much. Okay. All right. So yes, fonts next week, layers, colors, and things this week. And okay. Oh, so Penny said she didn't use the right brush. So I can tell you right now that I use it's in my Procreate Playbook brush set. I use the pencil to just kind of loosely trace. And then I will go in and add some some color with my gouache brushes usually. because they have a little bit more pigment looking, like a higher pigment load than the watercolor. And then if I want it like a really flat kind of look, I will use a flatter kind of a monoline brush. I use that sticker background brush a lot to get flat color. But I prefer the gouache brush, and then I will smudge a little bit for that color layer. And then I will go on top. I will actually bring my, I'll do a little fudgy with the layers there, and I'll show this to you guys. But so that I can see the sketch, but I'm coloring under the sketch. And then I will go and ink on top of the sketch layer. I'll take the opacity back on the sketch layer so that I can see myself inking it. And again, inking just means kind of a final, like almost like, I don't know, it's kind of like line art kind of. So I'll explain it to you and you guys will see. But for that one, there's an actual ink brush, like a rough ink, I think that I have that I like a lot. So yeah. Yeah. All right. So it looks like you guys are doing good. A lot of information. And I'll see you in the group, and I'll see you on Thursday. Bye.